We are in December now, and whereas the bulk of the growing season is either behind us or quite a few months ahead of us, we have got this bit of a gap where even if you garden throughout the winter, you will now be having time to sit down and start planning ahead as to what you would like to get done next year. Maybe if you want some new structures, maybe if you want to grow some new things. But for me, it's a really good time to evaluate, if you like, what we've been doing over the last few years and what we can do to make it better. So on that note, I have made so many notes, and I don't know if you're anything like me, but once something gets in your mind at 3 o'clock in the morning, you think, oh, that's a great idea. And then you wake up the next day, it's a load of rubbish. So I've been writing copious notes of things that I want to get done. And I suddenly thought to myself, I have got such a fantastic community of people who are interested in gardening here that I'm just going to ask you. So yeah, we'll ignore my notes for now. I mean, honestly, just notes and notes and notes, especially notes that sort of, like I say, grab a pencil and you never stick to them, but they're there, they're good intentions. But yes, what I'm going to do today, I'm going to take you outside and just show you some of the things I really need some help with. I really need some advice, and then we'll come back in here, and I've got a couple of important things to tell you about, including something about the stove. So yeah, we'll get outside while it's still a little bit of daylight, and then I'll meet you back here. Okay, one of the things we were really fortunate to inherit when we first moved onto the plot was what I very grandly call the run of greenhouses. They're pretty much the first thing you see. You walk past the shed and they're the first thing that hits you when you come through the gate. So what we've got is an 8x6 greenhouse on this side, and we've got two, yeah, about the same size but pushed together on this side. And you think, wow, Jane, do you need any more growing space than that? But if I show you the issues, you might understand why we're looking for something, or we need a little bit of a hand as to what to do with them. Okay, this is the oh heavens, nearly took my eye out with a grapevine. This is the part that is two greenhouses pushed together, if you like. I hope you can see me there. Can you see me? Can you see me? And maybe I'll do it like this, because really the way I'm standing here is the major problem with this space. And although it's 8 foot, it must be 16 foot by 6 foot, which is a great growing space, we have got this beautiful ancient grapevine, which I absolutely love. Each year it gets cut right back, and it gives us the most fantastic grape harvest, even though they've got pips, which I'd rather they didn't. But really, I feel like that is the only thing that this greenhouse is doing, is providing a home for the grapevine. This year we had chilies planted in, haven't been cleared away yet. I did put our peach tree in. This is going to get moved into Mike's new polytunnel when the time is right, because yeah, it's just going to grow way too big for here. We thought it was a solution. It's clearly not. You live and learn. But you can see, because of the grapevine, now I'm hunched over now, and you know, it's not in full leaf, but when this is, you might say, well, take it up a little bit high. You can't really, even if you had it right to the roof, which you wouldn't want it, the way it grows down there, there's just not enough room to sort of, I hate the term swing a dead cat, but you know what I mean. But yeah, so I don't know. Are we daft to just keeping it like it is? Do we get rid of the grapevine? That just doesn't seem right. Could we relocate it somewhere? I dread to think. I mean, it must be, the vine must be, what did I say, 16? It must be at least 20 foot, 25 foot long. So yeah, I don't think it would survive being dug up and moved, but it means that this space here cannot be used as a traditional greenhouse. So yeah, let me know what you do, but let me show you the other side. We've got a similar problem over there. Okay, one of the issues on this side, I mean, you can see, can't you? It's this space again. It's 8 by 6, I keep saying that, but just bringing in all the plants that weren't potted up from Malvern, that's taken up space. These are my poor little dahlias under a little bit of fleece there. Hopefully, yeah, they're okay because it's been so cold. But this has got staging that I would say we could take it in and out. It's a right pain to take in and out because of the angle, basically, because you've got 2 foot between this greenhouse and the next one. You can't lift this. You can take the top off, but you can't lift the base without a huge hullabaloo. So yeah, so this, it's a really valuable space, especially in the springtime. This is the workhorse of the plot. I'm able to get all my sowing done. Any of these plants that are in the way, I'd find another, I'd put them in the polytunnel probably or something like that. But yeah, if we actually start to look closely, I've got a window here that just, well, oh, it does close, but it's got this thing hanging off. I know we could deal with that, but it's certainly not a tight seal. We have got cracked panes everywhere. We have got, if I show you, you'll like this. Hello, missing panes everywhere. Yeah, from where different things have been turned and bounced around. I've actually got to clear all this away. We've got all the jasmine on there, but yeah, it needs something doing to it. It needs a bit of TLC, to be honest, but when you start looking, you think, well, where do I start? Because as it is, I can see, I would say about 30–40% of the glass needs replacing. A lot of it has already been replaced in the past with polycarbonate, but which isn't ideal, but I don't know. But something came up the other day that might help with this issue. But to show you that, we're going to have to go down to Mike's plot and have a little look because it's hiding in the polytunnel. You might not be able to see it because of the light, but can you tell what that outline is? It's actually been a while since I've been in Mike's polytunnel. It's doing really well, you know. We've got a whole bed of lettuce here. I don't know if you can see it. A whole bed of lettuce. We've got mustards over there. Brassicas over there. Oh, bless him. He does get up to something when he comes and hides on his plot. Okay, this is it. Now, sadly, can I turn it for you? No, I don't think I can. Oh, maybe. Oh, I can. Look, this was actually advertised on a poster on the allotment gate as just basically unwanted trug with top on it, what you call it, plushy bit. Guess how much? Louder? It was free. It was free. Again, the first thing that came through my mind was my daughter would absolutely love it. Charlotte, my older daughter, has got a big garden. She's really into starting her own vegetables. And I thought, yeah, that'd be great. And then I thought, this is what a bad mother I am. I thought, oh, actually, this might be one of the solutions to trying to either extend the greenhouse, get a bigger greenhouse, get a bit more space for a greenhouse. How about this? The reason it is in the polytunnel, Mike's polytunnel, is because, bless him, the place that was advertising it is literally 2 gardens away from our allotment, and the day he went to collect it, the person who lives where the middle garden is was out. So whereas he could have probably just lifted it over the hedge, it would have been a really easy job, he had to get a sack truck, sat, whatever it is, one of those trucks, and walk it all right around the edges and back up the lane for about a mile and then take the truck back. So he did a really good job. But the reason it's in here is because Obviously it's meant to be outside, and it's been outside. I think the fella said he's had it for about 4 or 5 years, but we want to give it a really good coating of something weatherproof, because yeah, I just could not believe it. It's lined. It's got this bit on the top that you can adjust. I mean, yeah, so thrilled. So yeah, the question now is, where do I put it? I'm thinking directly outside the front of where the single greenhouse is, where I've got my table. Either move my table forward or move my table to something else, or maybe, I don't know, let me know what you think. But how good is that? It's really worth, I mean, I literally, the poster was there in front of me. Couldn't have been more plain, but always worth looking out on various internet marketplaces, because sometimes people just want to get them out of the way. So yeah, brilliant. Right, up to the next patch, and I just know I haven't pulled my cosmos up either, but each time I go by I'm taking off a few dead heads with seeds, and then what happens is I normally just put them in my pocket and forget about them. But I'll take you up. Right, if you saw last week's video, and if you didn't, I'll leave a link at the end. Don't go looking now, wait till the end. You'll see that in spite of snow and ice and storm, but we managed to get our compost bays almost completed. We've still got to put the doors on this side, but thank you so much for the comments about the doors. I think what really made it is the little leather handles. It was all Mike's idea, I've got to give all credit to him, but the little leather handles on them, I don't know how long they'll last for. They'll probably fall off, you know, by next week, but they look nice. Anyway, my issue with this is this bit here. Now, this last year gone, we had these little troughs here with mulch to it. I've got to be honest, they didn't do very well, but they covered this. We didn't have the compost bay behind it then. We just had a few old raspberry canes and bits of rhubarb that I've moved from the pond. But now, what I want to do is disguise the I mean, who doesn't want to disguise their compost bay? So we need to have something in front here that isn't going to creep through into the compost bay. So I can't put something like, for example, honeysuckle or ivy or anything like that. I want to have something that's, if not evergreen, semi-evergreen, if that's possible. I want your suggestions. I can't think for the life of me. I can think like next year, it would be nice to have sweet peas growing up. We don't really need to have them growing in the troughs. We could maybe keep the troughs and have strawberries growing out of them and something else coming up behind. So we could move this. Can you remember what I said it was? Put your answer in the comments below if you can remember what this yellow thing is here. I'd be interested to see who's watched for that long. But we can move that. I could put just a few little things in there. I don't want to make a big bed there, because the whole thing about siting the compost area here was to have the access, easy access. So what would you put there? Have you disguised your compost bins? If so, have you got a cunning plan as to how I can disguise mine? So yeah, I don't quite mind how tall it is. It might just be a case of putting, I don't know, a few pots of sunflowers in there, but nothing to block the access. Nothing to block the access, nothing that's going to crawl through and interfere with the compost bin itself, but just something to pretty it up a bit. And then I spent a happy, I don't know, probably only took about half an hour clearing all this. I know you'll look at this and think that's not very clear, Jane, but this is all tucked away in a corner. Clearing the polytunnel, because I'll soon be putting the staging back up in here, because this, you know, I was saying about the greenhouse, this is an invaluable space in the springtime, because just all the seedlings, all plants that are not quite ready to go out will come in here. But looking ahead from that, because now is the time to do it, I plant directly into the soil here. So the soil is being built up. Each year it gets some compost from our local green compost waste place. Hope I've said that right. And whatever compost we've managed to make, occasionally it might get a bag or two of what I would call proper shop compost, but it's just too expensive to be able to do the whole thing. So each year the soil level is built up a bit, but what I'm wondering is, should I make these into raised beds? I know that, again, talking about the price, the cost, it'll be a bit, but do you think things grow better in raised beds in the polytunnel? I mean, Mike, as you saw, Mike's got a few grown in his. He's got a bit of a half and half thing going on. Should I just do a raised bed around this bit here and a raised bed around this bit here, so that it's at the base of the arch? I think Rue does that over on Rue's Life, and that seems to work quite well. What would you do? I don't know. It's one of those things, because at the moment it's almost like a blank sheet. You can start to think, okay, now's the time. If I was going to do it now before I put the staging up, because once that starts to get full, it just disappears. So yeah, let me know your thoughts and let me know what you do. And then of course we have got this perennial problem of, is it dead? Ow, that went flying. Is it dead space? Is it useful space? Should it be left as it is? This is the bit, I showed you last week. The old compost bays, by the way, we are still going to be using those, but they'll be used for things like if we've got a delivery of manure, if there are any like big trees or, you know, more sticky things that need to take longer to break down, they'll be put into here. And someone did say I've gone off on a tangent again. Someone did say last week, you've probably still got a fair bit of compost at the bottom. So at some point we will be, I don't know, moving them round a bit and and collecting what compost we've already got. But compost bays there, chicken coop there, the hammock's still there, and we've got this space here. Now, at one time, if you had given me this amount of space, I would have been absolutely thrilled. This is probably as big as our back garden, which is very, very small, but I could fit so much into here if this was all I had to grow in. But as it is, we've got so much space now. We're so lucky. I know that we're so lucky that it's a little bit redundant. We have moved the allotment. We've crept back up to the back border, if you like, a bit at a time. So the polytunnel, then the little seating area. We've got the little fruit tree bit, little orchard. It's a little orchard where the chickens go and sort of scratch around. They're there now. And we've got the chicken coop on this side. But this bit here, one of the problems is we have got this beautiful, huge, my faraway tree, apple tree. And obviously that's been there ever such a long time. We know it needs a good prune, cost, time, etc. So that is going to be there for the foreseeable. But as much as that goes up, the sun's coming through it now, but when that's in full leaf, that creates shade, quite a lot of shade. And you've got to think, as far as it goes up, it's going to have roots underneath as well. So in a way, you're limited as to what you could put here. I've just thought of roses, but roses like sun, don't they? So at the moment, it's just been used, again, like I said about the compost bays last week, it's a bit of a dumping ground. The hammock's here, it shouldn't be here. Last year, we've got a sunken path in there, and last year Mike was going to start growing watercress in there, one of those projects. We never got around to it, and then he got his new plot, so that's going to be something to keep an eye on over there. So there is a sunken bath. Whether we can do something with that or not, I don't know. We've got, I like to call it a dead hedge, and that's literally what it is. I know people spend a long time constructing dead hedges nowadays, and great, but we have literally got a dead hedge there. So as far as wildlife and everything's concerned, it's quite a nice little natural area. But what would you do? We've got fields at the back. As far as having a wildlife corridor, it's good in a way that it's not really neat and manicured, because it allows wildlife to, I don't know, flow. But what would you do with it? I can't help but think it's it's a bit of a waste. In the spring, it's absolutely full of bulbs. We've got the tete-a-tete, we've got the grey hyacinth, we've got fritillary, we've got miniature tulips, and it is gorgeous. And for that reason, I'm a little bit worried about letting the chickens on this side, because I don't know if they're poisonous or not. And would they touch them if they were? I don't know. But that was another thing, maybe extend the chicken run back further. But to be honest, they've already got quite a huge run. And they've got their extra spot over there. So I don't know. This is what happens when I start thinking about this bit. I start rabbiting on because I've got different ideas pinging around in my head, but none of them seem to stick. So help. When you are staring at something for too long, it's like you can't see the wood for the trees. And I've got all these different ideas and all these different options that I could go for, which is really, really lucky. But I think that one of you at least will be able to come up with some sort of solution. What should I do in the polytunnel? What should I grow up the compost bays? What on earth do I do with that grapevine? So yeah, I would really, really appreciate your comments down below. If you've got anything that, you know, any little nuggets of advice, anything that you've done. If you can't think of anything, maybe put something in the comments that you need help with and someone else might read, because I think that's brilliant when you all help each other in the comments, that someone else might be able to read your comment and think, oh, actually, we can help with that. So yeah, give it a go. Okay, but one of the things that I really wanted to mention in this video is a few weeks ago, I did a video featuring the tent stove and how we replaced the cowl thing at the top because it was getting water in. And one of the things I mentioned was how lovely it is to be able to keep warm in the shed and just pop in here and have a cup of tea and everything. Boil the kettle. I will be doing some Christmas cooking very shortly, so keep an eye out for that video. But yes, a viewer pointed out one of the things that you've got to be careful with any form of heater in your shed. I mean, if it's a gas heater, if it's a log burning stove, if it's a tent stove like ours, you've got to think about your safety. I mean, first things first, most sheds are made of wood, so do be careful. Never go leaving it when it's in full flame, even the slightest spark. We have got, and I didn't have because I'd moved it for the video, because we'd had water coming down the pipe, we had a heat-proof mat under the legs of the stove and it got all rusty, so I'd moved it for the video, but I promised that I would replace it, and I have. I've replaced it with another one, so if anything spilled out of this ash pan at the front, it will go onto the heat-proof mat. So that's number one. Make sure your stove is on, even if it's a concrete slab. Do not put it straight onto the wood. The next thing is have a carbon monoxide detector. We have got one, highest point really in the shed. It's up there. You know, it might seem over the top, but especially if you've got a gas heater on and you've got a sealed shed, you've got to be really careful with these fumes. And that goes on to the third one, which is make sure that you have got some sort of ventilation in your shed. I'm looking now. I had the fire on earlier to boil the kettle, but even though that's gone out, I've got the door open slightly. Okay, it's not always going to be open slightly, but it gets so blooming hot in here. You'll know if you've got your own stove in your shed. You know, we tend to leave the door open a bit. But our shed as well, it's only mostly a single layer. And we have got the knot holes in it. We have got slight gaps around where, you know, the bits of wood have shrunk a little bit from each other. And of course, we've got this incredible ventilation here, courtesy of Danny from the Grow Up channel. So yeah, it's just three things, and I promised this viewer that I would pass them on. So thank you so much, Ashley. I think it really is worth saying. I know we all take these things for granted, but sometimes it just does us good to point them out. But yes, so that's what I want from you. I would like your comments. Please give me some help. I'm going to finish my nice hot chocolate, and I'll see you again next week. Bye for now.